Hello friends, welcome again to another coding video guide with me, Michael Tobechukwu. Today we'll be getting our hands into some Python programming projects. They are simple projects, but you learn some fundamental concepts in Python programming in these projects. I'll just quickly run the finished work of the first project, which will be a quiz app, okay? I'm sure you've taken a quiz online before, so we want to see how we can use Python to create a simple quiz application. That will be our first project. And our second project will be a random number guessing game. So where the application will guess a number, right? To pick a number and you have to guess what number it is until you get it correctly. So I'll quickly run the first project and you see the finished work and you see how it works, okay? Now this is the quiz app right here. So the first thing it says is please enter your name. So I'm going to enter my name, say my name is Michael, and I hit enter. So it says welcome Michael, let's begin the quiz. So the first question is the capital of England is, I'll say London. What happens when I put the correct answer and hit enter? They say bravo, you got that right. Nigeria is in which continent? Africa, of course. I hit enter again, it says bravo, you got that right. Now next question is what is 22 times 4? So I'm going to intentionally get this wrong so that you see what happens when you get it wrong. So I'm going to say 56. They say sorry, that's incorrect. The correct answer is 88. You see that? Then the last question, the Trump is the president of the USA, true or false? So I'm going to say true and hit enter. It says bravo, you got that right. So I just limited it to 4 questions so that you can see how it works. You can add as many questions as you want in your own project. Without further ado, let's get right into the project. I'll be using Visual Studio Code, that's VS Code, to create my Python project. But of course, you can use any code editor that supports Python to run this, even the Python IDE. Alright, so the first thing we'll do, I'll write a comment that says create a list of questions. So how do we do that? I create my variable called questions, and then I assign it the value of what? A list. So to create a list, we use our square brackets. So what's my first question? My first question is the capital of England is. Now, take note, to create a list, you have to, number one, put each item in your list in quotation marks, and then you separate each item in your list using what? Commas, okay? So the first question in my list is the capital of England is, and you can see it's in quotation marks, right? Yes. And then there's a comma after it before the next question. So I'll do that for all the questions. Take note. All right, we have done with our list of questions. So I have the capital of England is, right? I have my questions. All right, so we're done with creating our list of questions. So now I'll go on to create a list of answers. Now take note here, make sure the answers are in the same order as the questions. Take note of that. So that means, take note of what do I mean by that? Make sure that the answers are in the same order as the question, which means, what is the answer of the first question? The capital of England is, that should be London. We have created a list of our questions and a list of answers in the same order as the questions. All right, now the next thing we want to do is to prompt the user to enter their name and then greet them. Okay, that's the next thing we want. So we create a variable called username. So now assign the value of input so that the user can do what? Enter their name. So you prompt the user to do what? Enter their name. And of course, after they enter their name, you now welcome the user. So you say welcome, and then use your concatenation to add what? Welcome username. So what this will do is you say welcome and then the name that the user enters, whatever name the user enters. Okay, so if you say, for example, if the user types David as their name, you say welcome David. And that types Peter as their name, you become what? Welcome Peter. Okay, so with that we have done this part. So we've been able to create a list of questions, a list of answers, and then we'll prompt the user to enter their name and welcome the user. Now the next thing we'll do is to begin to display the questions one after the other. But this is programming, so we don't need to start typing the questions all over again or write a code for each of these questions. So here we will use what is called a for loop to do what? Display the questions one after the other. So I'll write a comment that says we use a for loop, right, to display the questions one after the other. So we say for I in range, the range is a function, range will make it go through the entire questions, of the length, that is the length is a function as well, of questions. Where do we have this question before now? Look at it here, the questions variable. So we want it to go through the entire question. Now we say print, which is to display the question one after the other, I. Okay, so this will make it display the questions one after the other. And after then, of course, we have to prompt the user to enter their own word answer. So I'll create a variable that says user answer, right? Should be what? The value of input. Enter your answer. So I'll write a comment that says, prompt the user to enter their answer. That's what that line of code does, okay? So now the next thing we want to do now, we want to check if the user's answer is actually correct, okay? So we say check if the user's answer is correct and display a message, okay? That's the next thing. Now take note, because everything here is part of this for loop, that's why after this colon here, they are all indented. You can see that there's a perfect line here from print all the way to user answer to even this check if. So the if statement we are going to write is also going to follow this line. Why? Because they are all part of this for loop, okay? So make sure you follow that. So we say if user answer, okay, convert it to lowercase. Okay, I'll explain why. Convert the user's answer to lowercase if it matches the words, the answers, right? The answer of that same position. Don't forget we created a variable called answers here, remember? All right, if it matches that answer, then what should happen? Display a message that says, wow, you got that right, right? You got that right, okay? So also we need to convert the answers to also lowercase. So we say convert to what? Lowercase. Let's write a comment here that says convert both the user answer and correct answer to lowercase. Okay, why are we doing that? To avoid errors. We are doing that to avoid any errors, okay? All right, now so if the user's answer is correct, that's the meaning of this double equals to. If it matches the correct answer of the question, right, what should happen? Say print, wow, you got that right. Now what should happen if it is not correct? Now take note, the print is part of this if statement. That is why you can see it steps forward automatically because I added a colon here. Okay, I didn't have to move it myself. Once I hit enter from here, from this colon here, it's indented inwards because the print is part of this if statement. But the else statement is not part of the if, instead it is part of this for loop. So we have to do else. What should happen? You then say print, oh sorry, that's incorrect, right? We then add and say that's incorrect. We then say the correct answer is, then we now add the answers that we have here, the answers variable. Of course, we put it in brackets, okay? All right, you put your answer in brackets. So we now say answers I. Now, why do I keep using I here? I keep using I here because we don't want it to display all the list of answers or all the list of questions at the same time. That's why here we say print question I, because I already use I to represent each question. So we say print question I, that means print one question. Here you say answers I, show me one answer. Here answer I, show me one answer. With this, we'll come to the end of this project. So I'll just run this and you see how it works, okay? Let's run this project and see how it works. So it says please enter your name to begin. So I enter my name as Michael. So it says what? Welcome Michael. The capital of England is London, of course. It says wow, you got that right. Nigeria is in which continent? I say Africa. Wow, you got that right. What is 20 times 5? I'll say 100. You say wow, you got that. I'm going to intentionally get this wrong so we see what happens when you enter a wrong answer. It says, oh sorry, that's incorrect. The correct answer is true. With that, we've come to the end of this project. Of course, we can extend this with more questions. We can even extend this by adding like a counter to know how many points we get. Maybe you can assign 1 point to each question, and at the end, say you got 3 of 4 correct or 5 of 10 correct and all of that. So this is a basic quiz app using Python programming. Don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, and if you are yet to, make sure you subscribe. Do that now if you are yet. My name remains Michael Tobechukwu, and I will see you in another video. Bye.